Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Stay Creative Podcast, a show dedicated to celebrating independent artists and sharing their art and story. I have found that when we listen to a person talk about their passion, we can take some of it for our own. So this show is also dedicated to you, the listener, not only becoming a fan of the guest's work, but also taking another step towards growing as an artist and loving the artist you already are. The world is a better place with you and your creations in it, and I am grateful for this time that I get to share my current favorite artists with my future favorite artists. Today I'm talking with Bug. He is a talented songwriter, musician, producer, collaborator. I've had the good fortune of working with him on some stuff before, both his original works, but also we have been teamed up with some of the same people. I'm really excited to show you some of his music and get to know him a little better, so stick around. All right. Hey, Bug. Thanks for agreeing to be on the show and share your time and your talents and your music, of course, with us. I'm excited to get into more of your story. But of course, before that, I'd love to know more about you. Who are you? Why do you make music? And tell us some about the Bug project.
Well, hello, Chris. Thank you. It's great to be here. However, before we begin proper, as a disclaimer, due to ongoing complications between Bug's home planet of Clondathu and the governments of Earth, I've been sent here as a spokesperson on behalf of the Bug. So any questions you have can be addressed to me.
Okay. So Bug's not like a dress-up Halloween thing. Bug's like a person from another place.
In a word, yes.
Oh my. And you are his lawyer, his agent?
I represent Bugs in all matters between Clondathu and Earth. We must keep relations secure.
I agree. That is a critical part of any good relationship is security. So how far away is Clondathu?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that. I'm not sure if you saw the documentary released in the 80s, Starship Troopers, it was titled Here on Earth. Slanderous. Don't believe it.
Yeah. I do believe, and please forgive me, I'm not caught up on what is preposterous and what is downright a slur to say, but I do believe a recurring catchphrase in that movie was the only good bug is a dead bug.
Don't let Bug hear you say that, please.
Okay, yes, absolutely. Is there anything else I should maybe tiptoe around?
Just don't ask what's under the mask. Trust
Okay.
me. We don't want to go there. But it sounds like you already know the phrase you shouldn't say. So if this line is secure, I can give Bug a ring, and we can see if he's able to actually speak with you directly.
Absolutely, yeah. Here on Earth, it's getting close to Christmas, and in order to entice the Santa Claus to come to your house and leave presents, you put out cookies and milk. If there's a ritual of some sort that I should be prepared as an offering to the Bug, could you go ahead and tell me about that too?
Yeah, this just in. He says cookies and milk will do just fine.
Okay.
We can, we'll start with that.
Okay, perfect. I will get those ready. Yeah, you give him a call.
One moment. I just need to install the neurotranslator here. I'm going to ping that over.
Hey, is that better? Can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. So, well, first off, are we going to be monitored? Is this entire interview going to be monitored by your representative, or is he going to disconnect now?
In a word, yes.
Fantastic. Well, Bug, real Bug, the Bug, all the way from Clondathu. Are you still there in Clondathu, or have you bought a summer home here on Earth?
I just flew in, and boy, I'm still, the neurotranslator is fresh, so it's tough to move my tongue the same way that a human tongue moves. But what I'm trying to say is that I just flew in, and boy, are my arms tired.
I imagine so. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. And I can only additionally thank you for your cautiousness and your mindfulness to keep you and your home planet safe, and also to protect these relations between Clondathu and Earth. It's the only way that our music's going to get there and your music's going to get here is if we don't blow each other up. So I'm really grateful.
Between you and me and everyone monitoring this conversation, we're really gunning for an Olympic spot in the future, and we feel we have to improve artist relations and government relations before that happens. So
definitely.
In a way, I'm sent as a sort of intermediary representative to help smooth that over.
Yeah. I think maybe between the two of us, we can start this friendship bracelet right here and right now. We'll get this going. Let's start off. Please tell me just a little bit more about when you started making music on Clondathu, or was that after you ventured to Earth the first time?
So back on Clondathu, it was a difficult life. There's a lot happening there, and as wonderful as a place as it is, I felt that I needed to branch out and to see the universe. I've heard that Americans do a thing, or not necessarily Americans, but humans do a thing where they put a map on a dartboard and they throw a dart at it. On Clondathu, we have a similar process, but it involves more lasers and other technology. And so I followed this process, and it led me here to Earth. It took me quite some time hibernating here and observing to understand what really makes humans tick. And I still don't know, but I feel like one of the most direct routes is to create. And so I started creating around what would be described in human years as high school. I started playing guitar. Didn't really go anywhere for a couple of years, took some time learning. I started bands with everybody, but they were bands in the sense that, hey, let's get together and write some music sometime. And then when we got together, we would just not do that. We would just hang out, play video games, or goof off in some other way. I didn't really have any serious musical endeavors until around my senior year of Earthling High School. And that band actually wrote and recorded music and started to do okay for itself. And from there, I kind of followed that route for a few years, playing bass in various bands. And then a few years following what would be college graduation, I kind of took a break from music, wasn't working on anything for a while, and then I got back into it through more electronic production and sampling.
Yeah, I see. The music of yours I have heard has a very comfortable blend. It's kind of hard to know when you start a new Bug track where it's going to be on the scale.
I love to hear that. I like to keep people on their toes. I like to listen to a lot of different music, and I enjoy so much of it that I don't know what elements to bring into my own, and it's difficult for me to stay rooted in one genre or one idea for a long time.
I hear a lot of that, making this show and just hanging out with artists, that sometimes the freedom to diversify and the freedom to sample a little bit of everything is kind of all working towards the same creative goal.
Absolutely. I mean, we learn from everything that we experience and from everything that we take in and hear. And I think that taking all of that influence and all of that inspiration and funneling it into something is the important part.
Why would you say you make music?
Yes, officially on the Clondathu docket, it's to understand the human condition. And I found it's quite difficult. It turns out that people have been trying to understand this for a long time. And I didn't realize that would be such a journey. But on a personal level, after taking a break from music for a little bit, when I came back towards creating, I very specifically remember having the direct goal of wanting to create something beautiful, wanting to create music that sounded beautiful and that instilled a sense of beauty. I was playing the game Tetris Effect on PlayStation. The combination of music and visuals in that felt transcendent to me. And I just sort of had an epiphany while playing that one day and thought, I got to pick up my guitar again. I want to make something that impacts me the same way that playing this has, because I thought it was stunningly gorgeous. And so I put down the controller, picked up my guitar, and have not stopped since.
That's fantastic. I love when art inspires art. The art has invited you to be present, and in that moment of presentness, you're like, oh man, I want to make more of that,
That's a beautiful way of putting it, that the art has invited you to be present. You go from being a passive observer and enjoyer of it to someone who is ready to acknowledge and channel that into something yourself.
Yeah. So would you say that moment when Tetris Effect inspires you to pick up the guitar again, would you say that is something that changed the way you create, or have there been other recognizable forks in the road along the way?
I think that was the most recent shift in inspiration. Prior to that, the bands that I was playing in were fast, aggressive sounding punk and hardcore bands. And so I was interested in a different kind of beauty there, like the beauty of like a wall of guitar amplifiers feedbacking at the same time at a time sounded quite beautiful to me. I sold the full stack. I got a combo amp. Also, my living conditions have changed. I went from living in a household with people where we had a basement that we could be loud in to now living in an apartment complex where I can't turn it up past 2. So that affects how I'm going to write and how I approach music. Another big one for me was sampling. I bought a sampler the beginning of last summer, 2019, after not really knowing anything about it or really having attempted it before. And so getting my hands on that completely changed how I approached music, because for months afterward, I just did not pick up my guitar again. I was just chopping up audio or chopping up things I'd previously recorded. Tetris Effect inspiring me to start again, and then sampling inspiring me to change my process were probably the 2 largest impacts I've had in the past couple of years.
I know in my fast, aggressive, loud music days, I would have said, sampling isn't even music. Like I would have had this hard brain opinion about that. And I love that embracing that a little bit has produced so many fantastic things that I've heard from you. And we're going to, share some, of course, here.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think I definitely got stuck in one ideology for a while. And I think perhaps I needed to take a break for a couple of years to kind of reset my worldview.
I'd like to actually listen to one of your new tracks together. Could you introduce or set up Daisies? Just tell us maybe some of what it's about and some of that creative process.
Sure, absolutely. I think it will benefit if I give a little bit of further back context. When I first got back to writing music, the first album that I released under this Bug moniker was called Soundtrack Volume 1. And my idea was that it was a soundtrack of my own life over the couple of months that I wrote it. Following that, I considered that my first full-length release or what have you. Each album felt like more of an experiment to me. The follow-up, Le Journée Sera Rude, was written and recorded entirely within the month of February, immediately following the release of that last album. So I released the first one in January, and then one of my friends reached out and said, hey, there's this competition that happens in February where you have to write and record. It's called the RPM Challenge, Record Producers Month Challenge.
Nice.
You have to write and record an album within 28 days. I said, well, pretty tired from doing the last one, but let's do it again. So that one took a different sonic feel. And then from there, that's when I thought, okay, I'm tired of the guitar again. Let's pick up sampling. And then there was a couple electronic EPs to kind of cleanse my palette. And then I released some long form electronic sampling works, not necessarily sampling, but electronic productions. And now I'm feeling the itch to go back to that sound that I had on that first album. And so I'm working on Soundtrack Volume 2. And it's more, I would like it to have those guitar roots, but now incorporate everything that I've learned from sampling and electronica into that. And so this track, I think, is a nice blend of kind of this airy guitar sound, guitar melodies mixed with that electronic production. And it is the first track I'm revealing from that upcoming album, which hopefully will be ready early next year.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, let's give it a listen. It's funny hearing you just talk about you did an album in January and then you joined like a competition in February to write another album. That is exactly how I create best, setting weird parameters or projects or challenges for myself.
Absolutely. Like if someone says, hey, let's collab on a track, I don't need this for another couple months, I'm never going to get it done. I will even in a couple months, I'll say, oh, I haven't even started. I'm sorry. But if they say I need this tomorrow, I'll be like, all right, we can do this. Let's go.
It's great that way, man.
Songwriting exercises like that really help you get in the groove and really can help shape how you approach writing. Yeah. I was first sort of introduced to this idea by these two artists There's one artist, he's a solo writer. His name is Evan Weiss, and he releases music under the name Into It, Over It. He had this album, I think it was called 52 Weeks, if that's how many weeks are in a year. He released a song every week, and then at the end of the year, he put them all together in this one big album. And they weren't all great, but a lot of them were, and it helped him release a ton of material that year, which then kickstarted other albums and other collaborations with other artists. And then there was another artist, Japanese Breakfast, and she had this album essentially of demos where she wrote and recorded a song every day for a month. And it didn't matter if it was just a short 30-second snippet of her like singing something or just like a piano line, but would just try to put an idea to record every day. She has now kind of exploded in popularity and growth. And some of those early demos have reappeared on these now professionally produced albums. And it's really interesting to see how they've developed or grown over the couple years since then, and how that album of just these rough demos kickstarted so much more. Sometimes you just got to set yourself some limitations and not be afraid to make mistakes and just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like it's been a busy 2 or so years for you. You've got a few things that have already been released, and you're working on this soundtrack volume 2, which Daisies will be on. Daisies is the song we just finished listening to. But could you tell us some more about what you're working on?
Absolutely. So that's the next sort of full-length album that's hopefully on the way, but it is not going to be my next immediate release. I actually have a single that I've been working on. It originated as part of the Life's Everyday soundtrack, volume 6, I want to say. Sorry, Sauron, if I got that wrong. But it's the one where David Petty supplied some stems.
Nice.
And so I created the sort of lo-fi house track, and another IMFer, Paige, who produces under the name Boyskin, sang on it. And so we had been tossing the track back and forth for a little bit now. And so she sang on it. I then mixed and produced it a little bit more. She created some album art for it. And I've asked 3 of my friends to do remixes of it. That will be released as this little 4-song EP or single, whatever you want to call it, of this track, and then 3 remixes. And one of the remixes is done by another IMFer. You know him, you love him, Loam.
Yeah.
So he sent me the most recent version of his remix recently, and I'm very excited to get it out into the world. So that's the next immediate project. I was hoping for that to be out by the end of the year, but there's some ongoing production. So that will probably be out early January, and then Soundtrack Volume 2 will follow that at some point. But beyond that, I am branching out, hopefully, into more multimedia work next year. I have a website that I've built that will be launching at the beginning of the year, and I hope to incorporate not only more information about my bug life back on Clondathu and incorporate more lore into the bug mythos, but I also hope to branch out more into some video, not just music videos, but you might be seeing some sketches and some other ongoing material, expanding beyond music and just creating more of a world.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Are you building one big project, or are you just kind of taking ideas and going with them as they come to you? Do you have an end goal in mind for this whole thing?
It's going to make me seem a lot smarter if I say that this is all planned ahead of time. But the truth is I'm figuring out as I go. Some of these ideas are pre-orchestrated ahead of time, or I have a larger idea ahead of time, but a lot of it, for example, the website was built as I was visiting my earthling transplant family that's been set up for me. I was visiting them for Thanksgiving, spent most of the time building a website. But if it was my bug family, we would have so much to catch up on because I haven't been to Clondathu in so long. But,
yeah. Is it true what they say that like bugs have just millions of siblings? Are you close with any of them?
Every one of them except Johnny.
Oh no, there's always a Johnny. There's always a Johnny.
Johnny is just such a troublemaker and love him to bits, but we're not on good terms right now.
Oh mercy. Well, if there's any unstated goals of this show, it is to heal families. So Johnny, give us a call. Come on, tell your side of the story. It'll be okay. We'll get through this together. I'll call Oprah. All hosts know each other.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I never thought this healing would occur. Therapist Rex.
Well, I want to, if you are okay with it, I'd like to play a little game of 2 lies and a truth with you. Go ahead and lay them on me. Lay your 3 truths on me.
Okay. I've never broken a bone. I'm lactose intolerant. I had a pet shark named Mercutio.
I don't know if you have sharks on Clondathu. Where was your Earth family?
At an undisclosed location on the East Coast.
On the East Coast. So I feel
States.
like a person who lives near a coast could have a pet shark pretty easily. Lactose intolerance is a myth. It's just you just don't like milk. If you just kidding. I think I'm gonna go with you've never broken a bone.
I have actually never broken a bone.
Hey! Thanks so much for playing. Is there a Clondathu ritual we should do to protect the safety of your bones moving forward now that you have drawn the universe's attention to your unbroken bones?
I'm really hoping that my spokesperson body double will take care of this issue for me.
Oh, he's a body double too? That's some Castro stuff, man.
Everything. His bones have at him. Not worried about those.
Well, we'll move towards the end of the interview, man. I'm really grateful for your time, and I'm grateful for just your willingness to share, more so in your story than I think I've heard so neatly put. That creativity is very much a journey. You've gone through some phases and some things and some sounds and some ideas. Every time you come back to creating, you seem to be bringing all of those experiences with you, and that's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm grateful for you, man.
That's all I've got to share about myself. For everyone else, I encourage you to create and to pull from all sources of inspiration. I studied English when I was in college here on Earth, and so I pull a lot from literature. There's a lot of dorky literature references in my work. I think that pull from everything you can, make it more uniquely you.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you for that. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Peace. big thanks again to Bug for sharing with us, and of course Clendathu for sharing one of their own with us for this time to get to know more about their art and culture. I really hope you have heard something in Bug's music that has just resonated with you. He's got a wide array of sounds and styles that I think could appeal to anybody. So be sure to look up more of his stuff. I will, of course, have a good link in the show notes, so that should be easy to do. Be sure to check out my link tree in the show notes as well. You can find the IMF Community there, some ways to contact me. And the Life's Everyday Soundtrack show. It is a show on YouTube run by the very talented Saran Leaf. But basically, he gives the same stems, same samples, to a collection of producers, and they all send him back tracks. And sometimes it's a bunch of people, and sometimes it's a few, and sometimes Saran made the stems, and sometimes other producers made the stems. It is amazing the level of individuality that comes out when people use the same starting sounds. It's a fantastic thing, and every time I watch it, every time I hear someone share the track they're working on for it, I get inspired to try something new or to try something old in a new way. So please check out the show notes for my link tree, which has a link to Life's Everyday Soundtrack. If you like what you heard today, you can find links for the artist and this show in the show notes. Be sure to go and listen, like, and follow the artists where you can, so the algorithm gods are beneficial for them. And share this show, leave a review, like or comment, whatever you can do on the streaming service you use. It would mean a lot to me for the sake of the show, but it would also mean a lot for this show's ability to promote these artists well, to honor the time they are sharing with us, and to love independent music a little bit better. But of course, your time is the first and best gift you can give, so thank you very much for listening. I hope to share more of that time very soon, but until then, please stay courageous, stay curious, and stay creative.